Hello and welcome to a new lesson of science. Today we're going to talk and learn about how heat changes some objects. So this is the second part of the unit 10 heat. Remember that before starting with the lesson you have to get some materials. You need to of course watch this video and of course you have to get your My Pulsar here to be a student book and activity book. At the end of the lesson, remember that you can do the worksheet so you can check how much you learn from this lesson. And there's also going to be some links to YouTube videos. I recommend that you watch them using subtitles so you understand in a better way. So let's review what we learned from the previous lesson. In the previous class, we talked about heat sources and we discovered that there are some natural heat sources like the sun and artificial heat sources like, for example, the engine of a car or the stove, which is something that you have to make as a person and of course then use it with some fuels. Also, we talk about uses of heat. We discussed that we can use heat to cook, to warm ourselves up when it's very cold. Also, to change the state of matter of an object. And there are many other uses. All right, so I'm going to ask you to please open your My Pulsar here to be a student book on page 20 and 21. All right, so again, here we have our friends. They seem to be in a kitchen and it's very dark. And we have, of course, some questions. Why did the candles become shorter? All right, so here we have Dr. Atom with a lighter and some candles. And we have Joe that says the candles have become shorter. Can you guess why? Well, the candles are made of wax, and when you apply heat to some materials, they can change the size or the shape. There are many things that change when you apply heat to it. So that's why you have to be always careful. If you're going to do an experiment with heat, you have to do it with the help of an adult. In the case of Sue, we have what happened to Sue's ice cream and why. Well, what happened is that the ice cream is melting, and this happens because when we get ice cream is very cold and it's not the same temperature uh, from the a frozer or a fridge compared to a room. When you take a cold object and you uh, use it in a normal room, the temperature of the place is different. So there can be some changes in this object that was very cold. Um, so as you can see here in the word bank, here we have some words that are important for this part of the lesson, which are heat, change, size, shape, color, texture. If you remember when we talk about water, we learn about water cycle, and there are some changes to water, and this is connected with temperature. Heat can also change the state of matter. So if you see the science at the home section, this is an activity that I recommend you do, of course, with the help of an adult. And it's put some sugar onto a spoon. Ask an adult to hold the spoon over a burning candle. What happens and why? We can discuss this at the tutoria or in the morning routine. So let me know what happened when you did this experiment, all right? Okay, let's continue. So here we have some information about this. Heat changes things, as I was telling you. Heat makes things change. It changes the size, shape, color, and texture of things. Heat can change the size of the candle. In this case, the candle, after being burning for a few times, uh, becomes shorter. But not only heat can change size, shape, color, and texture, also smell, also taste, um, as I was telling you, the state of matter, and many other things that we're going to discuss. Heat changes the shape of the ice. The ice melts. So when we have that the ice melts, we have a change of state of matter from a solid to liquid. Heat changes the color of the egg. Of course, there's no color there, but at the end it's white and it means that the egg is cooked. So in this case also changes the taste of the egg. Heat changes the texture of the shirt. Uh, the shirt has lots of wrinkles, but after the boy iron it, the shirt becomes smooth. Okay? Now I would like you to get your activity book, please. So in activity 10.3, we have what happens when there is heat. Fill in the blanks. You have to use the words that are in the box: size, shape, texture, color. So number one, heat changes the shape of the ice cream. Uh, Number two, heat changes the texture of the dress. Number three, heat changes the size of the candle. And number four, heat changes the color of the bread. Fantastic. Now let's continue to activity 10.4. What will happen when there's no heat? Okay, think. What happens if there's no heat? When there is, you have to use the words that are in the box to try to complete a sentence, okay? So, number one, when there's no heat, we cannot cook our food. Number two, when there is no heat, we cannot dry our hair. Number three, when there is no heat, we cannot dry our clothes. Number four, when there is no heat, we cannot warm our body. Alright, so let's go back to the student book for a second. And here we have the at the glance section. So we have heat. Heat can come from burning, can come from rubbing. Heat can change the size, shape, color, and texture of things. So we have the science words. We have heat, burning, change, rubbing, size, shape, color, and texture. Let's check the self-check section. Here you have to use the words in the box, which are heat, burning, and shape, and complete the sentences. So, number one, burning gives off heat. Number two, rubbing gives off heat. Number three, heat changes the size, shape, color, and texture of things. Alright, boys, to wrap up the lesson, so we can say that today we learned that heat can change some objects. Some changes can be color, size, shape, texture, smell, taste, and others. And of course, not all materials conduct heat in the same way. So, for example, this is very important because you have many materials, and some of them can transfer heat in a better way. Uh, Heat can transfer better from metals. Something that happens with heat is that heat travels um, always uh, from cold areas or cold objects. Uh, sorry, to from hot objects or hot areas to cold areas or cold objects. For example, if you have a cup of tea that is hot and you see the steam, and you place it on the table and you leave it for, I don't know, 10 minutes, the temperature will be different from uh, the time you place the cup of tea on the table. If you touch a cup of tea, uh, it's dangerous. You can get burned because it's super hot. But if you wait a little bit, maybe 5 minutes, the temperature is going to be different and you won't get hurt. So that means that something hot change the temperature and lose some heat. All right. There are going to be some videos about this, so I recommend that you watch them. Okay. I hope you had fun with this lesson and see you on the next one. Bye bye, compadres.